fight, my money's in a bag in the back for you. The future's overdue, yeah, I know that. Turn the engine on, a song blaring out of that radio, singing I need to know, no turning back. But I've been thinking, babe, maybe you're right when you said the pain weather's in time. We're just waiting for a change to follow. We don't always get all that we want. Redefine the pain to something more, and we shall overcome as we've done before. Scrolling through a life I barely recognize from a hotel room. Took in the lonely view, got unattached. Bringer of the calm, your arms wrapped around when the fever took. Thought I was gone for good, you brought me back. But I've been thinking, babe, maybe you're right when you said the pain weather's in time. We're just waiting for a change to follow. We don't always get all that we want. Redefine the pain to something more, and we shall overcome as we've done before. It's when we lean in into the moment. It's when we reach in through the divide. It's when we begin feeling the open. It's when the stranger's falling behind. When we shake out the darkness and harness the light. And I've been thinking, babe, maybe you're right when you said the pain weather's in time. We're just waiting for a change to follow. We don't always get all that we want. Redefine the pain to something more, and we shall overcome as we've done before. Oh, shall overcome as we've done before. Oh, 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 oh. We shall overcome as we've done before. Well, we could talk about the free studio upgrade that I got, under the condition that the landlord gets the back seat. I don't know if it was a fair deal, to be honest, but...
It's not free. It's not free. This episode's sponsored by Cereola Milkies by De Boyclair.
No, it's not.
It's not, yes.
Unless you are actually sponsored by them, but I haven't gotten anything
Sponsored
out of
as
that.
in I eat them.
Ah. Or we could talk song. Today we are going to answer the question how we can overcome cliché chord progressions and how to make them just that tiny bit intelligent to make your song rather unique. And we are going to look at 3 instances where we can do that. In the chord progression itself, so in the harmony, then in the melody, and also what the lyrics can do to spice up a very conventional chord progression. What do you say, Henning?
I don't know who wrote that. I don't know who that is. I just heard it for the first time, then you fucked up, and then I heard it for a second time.
So and for a third, and for a fourth, and
no,
for a fifth,
just
and for a sixth.
I think you played it 2.5 times. But I already spotted 3 little things that I would want to bitch about. Again, not knowing who that is or what the original sounds like. One thing was lyrical, one thing was chord, where I was like, why isn't there a chord change? And the third one was lyrical again. So we're gonna see once we get there.
I think I probably have got at least one lyrical thing that you must have gotten. But let's get started. First, we are going to look at the verse chords and the very special harmonic rhythm behind it. The verse chords are F sharp, G sharp minor, D sharp minor, E, F sharp, and F sharp to G sharp minor again. Only at the end of the verse, instead of going from F sharp to G sharp minor, we do F sharp to E.
May I interject and just ask? I know nothing. Is that a 2 minor, 3 minor, 7 1 where the 7 doesn't have a flat 5?
No.
What? What do you mean no? There are 2 minor chords. There are 2 minor chords a whole step apart.
No, they're not. No.
You said F sharp minor, G sharp minor.
F sharp is major.
So that's a 5 6 3 4.
There you are. 5 6 3 4. Now we're talking about chord progressions actually and chord functions, chord with 8 degrees. 5 6 3 4 4 5, and then either 5 to 6 or 5 to 4. Now, the way that I play the chords is an emulation of what you would do on the guitar, and it's what I would call the 10th trick. It's playing thirds, but not directly next to each other, but skipping a whole octave. This you can do quite nicely on the guitar, and I would show you if only there were guitars nearby. But this is going to be more than 16 minutes, I can.
Do you think I'll be back?
I can smell it.
I'll be back, like Arnold. I'll be back.
And we're also going to find out if Henning actually knows what I'm talking about and how this is played.
I don't wanna fight, my money's in a bag in the back for you. The future's overdue. Yeah.
Actually, there are two things that I can explain while there is a setup in the back. First of all, we have a rather conventional chord progression if we leave out the short chords that precede the actual target chord. So if we get rid of those tiny and only take the target chords, we actually have got a 6 minor, 4, 5, 6 minor progression. That then becomes a 6 minor, 4, 5, 4 progression. This is rather conventional. Now, the cool trick that they apply here is they take a preceding chord and, if you will, an anticipation that's actually on the beat. So the target chord is on the one end, thing that we are going to talk in a second, on the two end actually. And we have got preceding chords that kind of build up to the target chord. The preceding chord is always one step, either half or whole step below the target chord. This is quite interesting. And of course, harmonic rhythm is the Bon Jovi, something that I would call the fast Jovi here. Oh, and he knows how to play it. And he knows how to play it. Have you got an angle?
We have an angle. You want to talk about the 10th?
The 10th trick. Are you familiar with the 10th trick?
Well, you have a major chord here.
Yeah.
And you just skip from the 1, 5, 8, 3. So you just play the 1 and the 3. It's pretty much what that...
James Bay does that all the time.
Is that a blackbird?
Oh, yes, they do that too, yes.
And then if you do that on the E string, you got the root and the major third right there.
Even closer together, right? Yeah, because you only use 2 frets.
So you got, in this case, it's very nice and open while still giving you almost everything that you need.
Absolutely. So those 3 things in the verse make the chord progression that is actually quite conventional. 6 minor, 4, 5, 6 minor. Quite interesting. First, the fast Jovi. Secondly, the preceding chord, the anticipation on the downbeat. I don't know how else to call it. And the 10th trick. 3 things that you should think about while writing your songs. I believe that the one thing that Henning wanted to remark on the chords is not something that we find in the verse, but something that we find in the chorus chords. Henning, is that right?
On more.
On more?
More.
On more?
More.
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 Chorus chords. Let's see what we've got here. The chorus is B major, then B over F sharp that then becomes the F sharp. So we've got the fast Jovi again, and we've got the anticipation on the downbeat again, and this we've got twice. This is something that Henning probably doesn't like. So we go from B to F sharp, actually, with this preceding anticipation, repeat that, and then land on 4 on the E. So the chord functions, or the chord state degrees, are basically 1, and then 5, stay on 5, then go to 4. Henning, how'd you like that?
Something feels unresolved, and I just know when you're singing the word more.
It's when I sing the word more, so it's... And I've been thinking, babe, maybe you're right. We just waiting for a change to follow. And we shall overcome as we've done before, right? Is that one?
Yeah.
Before. That's because...
It feels like, why isn't the chord moving there?
That is correct. We're talking about melody now, but that's okay. The thing is, for two reasons it feels unresolved. One, we land on the 4, and that of course is not a resolution. But at the same time, the melody note is the 9 of the 4 chord. So, we shall overcome as we've done before. Okay, that's 2 reasons why it doesn't really land anywhere. And yes, we've got the 1 chord as the beginning of the progression, but at the end of the chorus, we leave with the 4 chord and then go to 5, 6 minor, which is why it doesn't feel resolved at all.
I would see it as a great thing, as a placeholder, as a parking spot, like a 3 is done before, and then go back into it.
Can we do that? Land on the 3 instead of the 4. And we shall overcome as we've done before.
Melody-wise, land on the 3rd instead of the
I
9.
see. And we shall overcome as we've done before. It's not very familiar.
Do that.
That would be the 3 and 5.
And then go back to the beginning of the chorus. I can see that, but as an ending for the chorus to sit there.
I agree, I totally agree. And it's rather weird. Yes, it doesn't feel perfectly resolved. Maybe there is prosody involved.
I would love it as a teaser chorus. If that was the first chorus, that's great.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And then on the second chorus, we have that before, and then back to the
especially
as a repeat.
Especially because, and this is the third thing that I want to talk about in harmony, if we talk about the primary bridge that is built on the exact same chord progression as the chorus, but changes the melody completely. So we always start with this B major chord at the beginning, and this would be one more reason to actually build up to that B in a more elegant way than just landing on that 9 melody note of the 4 chord.
We're not talking about melody and lyrics yet, are we?
We are now moving to melody, if that's okay with you.
The one thing that really confused me, which would be fine somewhere in the middle of the song, was the first line. First line is 2 lines, and they're indecipherable in terms of what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Because third time or 17th time you were playing the cover, I was like, that's 2 lines that they simply didn't separate.
That's the building blocks of the lyrics, and they are very confusing. We are going to look at lyrics at the end of the video. But yes, the fact that they chose a very weird line length and also arrangement of the lines causes a lot of confusion. Plus, we've got the tongue twister in line number 1, which doesn't help.
It makes it even more confusing. Yeah. And I like the tongue twister, but the lines are not separated if you were to read them on a piece of paper. You would make a pause, and then they make a lot of sense. I paid attention to the other lines where it's not as severe.
It's not as irritating as in the first, and maybe that's why I think they can make a clear and transparent decision of choosing that odd phrase length that is also melody in order to avoid the cliches and in order to kind of expand the very traditional and cliche progression a little bit. Could be.
But I'm thinking, confusing the listener with your very first line.
That's not a very good idea.
Saying like, wait, what are they saying? I mean, maybe it makes you pay a little bit more attention.
Yeah.
But that's why I said that line somewhere in the middle, once that rhythm and that pace for the first line in every verse is established, I wouldn't have had that much of a problem with, because you were used to it. You were expecting it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But I had to pay attention every single time. I'm like, now I know what's happening. On the other hand, maybe that's a good idea if you go on the radio, so that you want people to listen to it again because they missed it the first time.
Well, the thing is, and here we talk about melody, the fact that we haven't got an intro and that the very first note is actually the downbeat, and basically we start together with the chords, and then we've got motif development and stuff, but the fact that everything starts on the first one is of course very, very emphasizing the importance of line number one, and it stays with it. Let's talk about motif development in the verse, because in the melody we have got really, really interesting strategies to take your motif and to mess with it a little bit. The first motif is, in my opinion, a group of 8 eighth notes. And it's this. So we've got downward movement all the way through, that then gets mirrored in a way with the upward movement all the way through. And then we introduce a new motif. So what we've got here is actually an arpeggiated...
It's actually... It's a G sharp minor with a 4 in it as well.
With a 4 added, yes. And then we move to... So just the steps, right? From F sharp to B.
And that's actually, I would see that as a 5. I would see that as an F sharp.
Absolutely, the chord down there. So we do. No, actually, it's everything with G sharp and bass. So actually, we would have G sharp minor 7, 9.
Yeah.
And then we've
that's
got
definitely an F sharp, whatever yeah, with the G sharp minor.
Yeah.
Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road.
Oh, yeah. And then we have this tiny motif that is da-da-dum, right? C sharp, D sharp, and G sharp, ba-da-dum. And then we repeat that motif, took in a lonely view, and add something like a tail to that complete verse. Do-do-da-dum. That is F sharp to G sharp, that kind of rounds up things, and that lands on the 6 minor, which is kind of a deceptive resolution, right? So motif going down, motif, same thing going up, and then mini motif repeated twice and adding a tail that kind of resolves in a deceptive resolution. Next, melody of the chorus. Now the first thing that kind of hits you is the fact that the chorus does not start on the 1. It starts on the 3, so on the second downbeat of the measure. So it's 1, 2. Might be thinking, babe, maybe you're right when you set the pain, weather's in time. And this is the first half of the chorus. This is a very simple eighths motif, relatively fast and almost like a children's song, right? Very, very easy, very simplistic, followed by another motif that is harmonically complex and that also slows down in terms of rhythm. So we're just waiting for a change to follow. That's based on quarters. So we've got that contrast between a very playful eighth melody line and it's like that, just like that. And a very, very, yes, almost dramatic, we're just waiting for a change to follow.
That's an amazingly beautiful line.
It is, yes. It's also because it's all on the same chord. What we do here is everything is on the E major chord, and we play the 9, the 3, the 5, and the major 7. So actually, we have got an E major 7 at 9 that, of course, is really, really cool. Plus, we've got this uplifting feeling. We're just waiting for a change to follow. He confused me harmonically in the back there.
This is an
Never
E
mind.
major 7/9.
Absolutely. Yeah. You play the 9 at the top, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I should like get some kind of songwriting course. Could you recommend one, Rafa?
Yes, there is one by what's his name? Trey?
Yeah, isn't it how to write songs or how songs are made?
Yeah, the second best songwriting course in the world, actually.
Trey's course is pretty, and you know he's working on a lyric course now.
Oh, is he? No.
Yep.
Okay. I think the best one in the world is the almost but not quite complete guide to songwriting by Henning, Pauly, and Rafael Cano.
But the other one, Trace, you can get at howsongsaremade.com, I think.
Yeah, and ours you can get at spectreacademy.net. Spectre with R-E, and I always got confused with that. Go get it. Primary bridge. Very, very interesting that we keep the same harmonic scaffolding. Same harmonic rhythm, same chords. Nothing changes whatsoever. The melody is totally different. This time, the melody does a pickup. Remember that in many, many, many songs, we realized that the verse, sometimes the bridge, and the chorus tend to start on different beats of the song. Here we see exactly that. The primary bridge starts with a pickup, something that we haven't had before. We had start on downbeat number 1 and start on downbeat number 2 of the measure. The primary bridge is when we did it. And now, of course, here we've got a very, very dramatic melodic rhythm. So it's a combination of that 8th thing, and for the first time we actually underline the fast Jovi in the melody. It's when we lean in on the 2 end. This is something that hasn't happened before, and that happens for the first time in the primary bridge. And we've got basically, we're going to look at the lyrics in a second. We've basically got 4 lines that are very, very similar to each other, and that really punch that in. That happens a lot. Yes, it repeats and then gets hammered in that way.
But the question is, should the word stresses make way for
now.
that da-da-da-da-da,
Now we're talking.
which is strong. That is very strong.
Absolutely.
But would it be maybe just as strong, but da-da-da-da, if we did that?
That is the big question, and we are going to find out now, because we are going to move to the lyrics now, where, of course, the one word that Henning really is annoyed with, and I am really annoyed with, is the word begin. Right, Henning?
When we begin...
When we begin is terrible. This is something that...
I get it, because that da-da-da-da-da
Yeah,
is...
they've established that.
That's the
Yeah.
theme, and that's the motif, and they really want to do that. Could we have found another word there, maybe? Or could we say it's as strong as a line,
If we
but
say when we begin. If when we begin into the... feeling the open. So basically let's start at the end, which is the primary bridge when talking about lyric analysis. So it's when we lean into the moment. It's when we're reaching through the divide. And now we've got the cringe line. It's when we begin feeling the open. It's when the stranger's falling behind. Now, the 4th line actually shows us that it was not important at all to find rhyme words for lean in and reach in, because they don't do it in the 4th line. So why do it in the 3rd line? It's when we lean in into the moment. They wanted to have that internal rhyme, and they do that all the time. We're going to look at this in other sections. It's when we reach in through the divide. It's when we begin feeling the moment, but then they break it themselves. It's when the stranger's falling behind, and it works just the same. So the stranger's line is not the cringe line. The cringe line is the one where they chose a rhyme word for reach in and lean in and pronounced it wrong.
Why not find a rhyme word for strangers?
I think it's rather easy to find. I don't know.
Dangers.
Dangers, yeah.
Dangers.
Yeah, you could have done a lot of things. And yes, every time I listen to the song and I sing it myself, I really want to do it differently. But this is not the way I do the covers. I have to do it authentically, just like Gibson.
I get it, yeah. And they want to do like the Mandalorian style. This is the way.
Yeah. Verse lyrics. And now we're going to look at the irritating line at the beginning. I don't want to fight, my money's in a bag in the back for you. The problem is that we establish a very weird internal rhyme thingy that they do all the time, and that of course is brilliant songwriting, but as Henning said, the first line is really irritating because you don't understand what they're saying. The future's overdue? Yeah, I know that. And this is what Henning actually talked about when he said the first line is really unnecessarily long. Because we have, I don't want to fight my money's in a bag in the back for you. That rhymes with a very tiny line, the future's overdue. And then we've got another tiny line that has nothing to do with the first two lines. Yeah, I know that. But this now is going to rhyme with the end of the verse. Turn the engine on, our song blaring out at that radio. So again, we've got this internal rhyme that we had at the beginning with radio on and our song blaring out at that radio, long line that rhymes with singing I need to know, no turning back. And that no turning back actually rhymes with this, yeah, I know that. So in a very weird fashion, we've got an AAB, CCB, or AAC, BBC, depends a bit on your preference, rhyming pattern. Every time that I say letters.
As if you knew what you were just saying, okay?
Yeah, it's all true, it's all true. Very, very conventional rhyming pattern, but with line length and the arrangement of the lines, it's rather unusual. Verse number 2, it's basically the same building blocks. Scrolling through a life I barely recognized from a hotel room. Again, internal rhyme with, or internal soundscape, we could say, between live and recognized. Rhymes with took in a lonely view, tiny line. Got unattached, line that's going to rhyme later. Bringer of the calm, your arms wrapped around when the fever took. Really, a really great line. I would say a booster line. Thought I was gone for good, you brought me back. So it's intelligent lyric writing with those tiny twists, and yes, it's a very irritating first line, but maybe it's actually calling to the attention of the listener, so it makes sense. Chorus lyrics, and this is the last bit of the video. Chorus is, but I've been thinking, babe, maybe you're right. So again, nice internal little thingy there. When you said the pain weathers in time, AA, we're just waiting for a change to follow. We don't always get all that we want. Redefine the pain to something more, and we shall overcome as we've done before. A, nothing, nothing, another nothing, and then B. It somehow works. The lines are catchy. If we sing, I've been thinking, babe, maybe you're right. When you said the pain weathers in time, you see that those two lines belong together. We're just waiting for a change to follow. The beautiful melodic line there. We don't always get all that we want. We define the pain to something more. It's not irritating that one doesn't rhyme with more somehow. And we shall overcome as we've done before. Suddenly, something that rhymes with more. So it's very strange. I don't know where it comes from. There is no rule and pattern behind it, but it's strangely beautiful. Henning, what do you say?
The more it bugs me, because no, it doesn't rhyme with the line before,
yeah.
But then the before, to me, doesn't connect with the more.
Not at all. That's the problem.
It's a rhyme, but actually it doesn't feel like one. And I've had this with songwriters who look at the page, and on the page, it works. In the song, because of the phrasing, it doesn't connect.
If you want to go to the lyric section of the Nothing Compares to You video, the last 5 minutes or so, I talk about exactly that. In Nothing Compares to You, they went through too much work to make words rhyme, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if they rhyme or not, because it's great verses anyway, and there are verses that rhyme, and there are verses that don't rhyme, and the verses that don't rhyme aren't necessarily worse than the verses that rhyme, which proves the point in a way. Your chance, Henning, to say anything and make the video even unnecessarily longer.
No, I'm good. Animals in the other room next door.
Yeah, sure. As always, if you like that, make sure to like the video, to subscribe to the channel. I want to reach the 600. I don't know what's happening, and to leave comments, to suggest songs that you would like me
leave
to
that in there, please.
I have to now. That you would like me to analyze. I guess we've talked song. You can talk about, was it studio upgrades? I think so. You can talk about studio upgrades and how to afford very expensive studios now.
But I've been thinking, babe, maybe you're right. When you said the pain weathers in time, we're just waiting for a change.